In this class, I would like to start by teaching you about recovery time and workout frequency. You should know by now that the higher volume and intensity you train, the longer you need to recover. So the first thing to consider when thinking about recovery is how much time you need to be giving yourself. Now, moderate cardio can be done every day. You could go for an hour-long walk or bike ride or even more and be recovered by the next day if it isn't too intense. And you can even do some more intense cardio every day if you are not doing it for as long or are finding ways to manage your energies. Maybe you could go back and forth between moderate and intense, but the more intensity you add and or the more time your workout takes because you're doing a higher volume, the more recovery you are going to need between sessions. All right, so extreme cardio, like going for a 2-hour run or a 20-plus mile bike ride, will probably require a day or so of recovery. Unless you are training specifically for endurance, then you could certainly work up to doing that at a higher frequency. If you're training for a marathon, you're becoming an advanced athlete who's trained specifically for that thing. But generally speaking, if you are doing extreme endurance training for long periods, you're going to need more rest and recovery in between. Now, when it comes to hypertrophy training, light or low volume or full body training where you're doing just 1 to 3 sets per muscle can be done every single day. All right, because again, that is a low or moderate intensity, so you do not need much recovery time. So 1 to 3 sets per muscle group per workout can be done every day if you want to be training at that high frequency. You don't need as much recovery time. But again, the higher volume and intensity, the longer you need to recover. So moderate, medium volume, and things like upper-lower splits. You can train each muscle group with that intensity and volume about every other day. You would want to be doing 3 to 5 plus sets per muscle group per workout, and then getting 48 hours of rest between sessions, especially as you do progressive overload and continue to raise the intensity, and then heavy lifting and any sort of really high intensity, high volume training, hardcore brutal workouts, and doing strength training and powerlifting. Things like that require push-pull leg splits, and you should be training every muscle group only twice per week, 3 times tops, but the higher the intensity, again, the lower the frequency because the more rest you need between. So that's why a push-pull leg split is really ideal, and that way you're getting 72 hours of rest between every muscle's workout. All right, and that's key there when you are doing that type of heavy or high intensity or high volume training. And with that kind of training, you'd be doing probably 10 or maybe a little bit more, including accessory work, per muscle group per workout. If you needed to raise the volume beyond that per muscle, and we're trying to do 20 plus sets of every muscle per week, you'd want to go beyond a push-pull leg split and divide up each muscle's work individually, and then be training 2 or 3 times per day and having every muscle be trained with its optimal volume and frequency. Okay, but that of course is a bit more complicated, but it can be ideal for some people that are doing a lot of progressive overload or very serious athletes. But I think you see the rule here. And when it comes to single muscle group workouts done once each per week, even at a high volume and intensity, you wouldn't want to be doing 15, 20, 25 sets in one workout. And you certainly couldn't be doing, much more than 10 at a high intensity. So you really need to be training the same muscle twice per week at the very least. That is what is optimal, and going a week without training it is only going to cause you to lose some of your gains. And the more you do progressive overload and increase the volume of work that you are doing, the more sessions you're going to need to split it up between. And not only does the raising of intensity cause you to need more time to recover, but the raising of volume causes you to need more sessions to split it up through. So going to your MRV, which is going to be different for every muscle, but it will usually peak at around 20 to 25 or so for just about everyone, and then only advanced athletes are going to need 25 or more for most muscles or certain muscles. But as you get into that type of volume, you are going to need to be doing multiple sessions per day. And I know that sounds overwhelming, but do not worry, it's not as bad as you think. And I'm going to be teaching you how to program that kind of thing when I teach you about programming your training week, or microcycle as it's known, in the fall semester. But until then, just make sure that as you increase the volume intensity, you are still giving your muscles the exact right frequency and recovery time between sessions in order for you to be able to recover as you do progressive overload. And just keep in mind that it's so important not to train more than you can recover from in any one session or week. All right, the goal is to be able to come back to train more sooner rather than later, and to be training with a high level of consistency. Okay,